Hey guys, James here, and I'd just like to say before this video starts that I do not condone bullying or harassing any of the people mentioned or featured in this video. Thank you. So James, you might be wondering, what do all of these images have in common with each other? Simple. They all relate to a very popular hit indie game known as Yandere Simulator. You might be wondering what this game is about too. Simple again. It's about an anime girl who runs around and kills other students for her senpai. Basically. I used to actually be very into this game, and I used to find all sorts of things out about the game, and used to be very into it, but I found some negative information and some positive information, mainly negative, towards the creator known as Yandere-Dev, who I still admire very much to this day, even with all the negative information in light. So sit back, relax, and I'll try to tell you to the best of my ability the story of Yandere-Dev, what I found online. To start off, Yandere-Dev, also known as Alex Mann, Ziva Ifon, or YandereDev, also pictured in the right hand corner of your screen, is known for several things, mainly his work on Yandere Simulator. But he is also known for he is also known for other things, such as he is also known for other things he is also known for other things that a lot of people don't realize. And that's why I'm here today. All information up to the following point is collected from zvfon.wikia.com. Zvfon is a handle of two different animes, Eva and Razifon. This is important because it starts off our autism show. For some bizarre reason, Eva got into his head that Ra was a complete ripoff of Eva and made huge PowerPoints about this and posted them on a 4chan image board. His proof was so shit as flimsy as they both have scenes where someone is looking at the sky and these girls with blue hair. So naturally, A mocked the shit out of him and it became a meme. Despite this, he would continue this until he was banned. While he was shooting up A daily with these autism threads, he had a Gaia account because why not, I guess. He didn't do anything but make various blog threads about how he wanted a girlfriend, but couldn't get one. A rather funny thread involved him trying to look at a girl's cleavage and when she notices it and shoots him a look, he began crying. The only things of note are the fact that he was homeschooled. His parents were mostly distant. Remember this, and that he had an that he had an fuck that he had an almost unhealthy obsession with getting a girlfriend. Quote, "My life means nothing without it," end quote, and that he wanted to be a game dev. He never had any ideas that didn't somehow involve rape, which is clear from his still active fanfiction.net account filled with rape fics, and never seemed to actually work on anything. Then, in 2012, he came back. It was a "What is your dream game" thread. It began like most threads, insane ideas with no chance in hell of becoming a thing, until one anon posted that he'd like to see, quote, "a Hitman game with a yandere girl." The thread started focusing on this and pouring ideas into it until someone said,
I'll work on it. Be back in a month. No one thought anything of that shit because people say things like that all the time. But true to his word, Yandev showed up with a trip next month on the day with progress. At this at the time it was one room At the time it was just one room with the ability to stab people. The model was a lunar scythe girl, something V failed to notice and would really help. At the time, it was just one room with the ability to stab people. The model was also the lunar scythe girl, something V failed to notice and really would have helped in the long run. But it was a functional game, so people got excited. He'd make threads daily, but since it was for a game, people overlooked it. Idea guys threw down ideas. He seemed to implement them all, so he grew a little bit of a fan base on B. Around 2013, the MC's model changed, and when he made a Around 2003, the MC's model changed, and he made a WordPress so people could follow development, but continued to post on the V threads whenever they were made by people who obviously weren't him. Seriously, guys, don't worry, it's not him. In the threads, he promised a bunch of shit. Let's go down the list and see how much of it has changed, shall we? Quote, I will never have a Patreon. That's SJW's shit. Quote, I will never make a Kickstarter. That's juice shit. Just donate if you like the game. Quote, I promise I'll never talk to Kotaku or anyone like that. They're not really interested in video games anyways. Quote, if this shit gets attracted by PDP, I'll kill it. I'd rather stop the game than put up with that retard. Quote, I'll never make it possible to beat the game by doing something other than killing. This is a Hitman type game after all. Quote, if the game can't be shown or sold at certain places, I'll never censor my shit. The game is more important than making money. Quote, I'm making this game for you, V. You're the only audience that matters. Quote, I will never have a year.
Then 2014 came. In the middle of one of his weekly dick-sucking threads, someone posted the bombshell that Yandere-Dev was none other than Eva Zifon. At first, he denied it. He said that he didn't know who that was, but people ended up linking it to him because he's like a fucking idiot. His Yandere stream was under the same name as his old handle. So, he simply stated that he had changed and wasn't that person anymore. Quite a few people agreed that he did have the capacity to change, so they overlooked it. But a great deal did not forget about it and brought it up every time he made a new thread. Realizing that it wasn't going to be long until V had turned on him completely, like it had many times before, he used GG as a scapegoat. As soon as it happened, he moved to 8chan and claimed that YandereDev threads are being banned because he wasn't with the indie clique. Something that literally never happened. What he meant is that it was filled with so much shitposting that he could no longer get his dick sucked. But since most of 8chan no longer visited 4chan, there was no real way to disprove that claim. He, however, continued to defend himself under a non whenever a thread came up, something that he still does to this day. The threads had mirrored the early V threads. People would post ideas and suck his dick with the added help of the board owner, deleting anything criticizing Eva and banning anyone who continued to do so. He even gave him a banner. Eva had his own little safe space, and all he had to do was add meme modes. To slow down the rate of threads, Eva agreed to Mark's idea of having new threads whenever a video was made, which was on the 1st and the 15th. According to Eva, any more than that would take away from the game making, and he simply did not have time for that. He did, however, have time for 10-hour streams almost daily, but pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Eva is still working hard, I assure you. He discussed changing the name to get rid of Redditors and children, but wagged his fingers at anyone suggesting that he change the name now before it's too late. He listened to the concerns about his focus being on meme modes, but once again tutted it. Quote, "The Easter eggs only take an hour of my time and it's a great way to relax." People were upset that he was spending a great deal of time buying Quote, "I don't even like working on the game, you ungrateful shits. I'm going to make a game that I want made. I don't even like working on this game, you ungrateful shits. I'm going to make a game that I want to make next time. What's the point of pandering to you people? You never praise me for anything. You're all Kermageddons. Everyone outside of the shithole enjoys UT. Why can't you?" And so forth. Then he disappeared for 2 months. I think part of him was hoping it'd go unnoticed because 8chan had no archives, but some of us actually capped it and would post it whenever obvious, not Eva, would state that it never happened. The tides were beginning to turn. People were starting to get annoyed at the radio silence, but he returned a little after DS3's release and claimed that it was stress related, but he was going to be fine. That seemed to placate the dick suckers, and anyone who didn't forgive him was written off as his boogeyman for the week. He came up with the beat 'em system, something that was called stupid as shit basically everywhere, but he seemed to be particularly hurt that V wasn't in favor of it. He complained a little and made several passive-aggressive posts about it, but didn't blow up. Not much of note happened after that. Things continued the same way until he rolled out his inventory system. The plan was to have Yan-Chan open up her skirt and flash her panties with her weapons on the side of her skirt. It was stupid, but given that her stat bonuses were panty related, it made sense. Obviously, normal fags were weirded out by this and demanded that he changed it. He insisted that he would do no such thing on 8chan, but made a poll regardless. V couldn't understand why he did this. Who cares? Quote, "Who cares about what they think if you're not going to change it?" But once again, he simply stated that it was important to listen and move on. 11%. 11% of people thought it should be changed. So V figured that was that. After that, they were the majority. Surely you keep the panties. The very next day, he rolled out a new version where she was wearing 2 fucking skirts. Quote, "The 2-skirt system allows me to have a grid, which is important. I'm not pandering to the 11%. It just so happens to line up with what they want. 8V did not buy that shit, and who would? So the dick suckers turned on him. Mark removed the ban